When I go, bury me in the sky. When I go, take 2 pennies for my eyes. Then my debts are paid. I don't need no grave. Where I go, I carry my dead with me. I'll see them in the rain before the cemetery.
Okay, good evening and welcome back to the Unleashed sessions we are doing for this year's Pentrefest. I'm trying to interview all the bands and artists that are playing, and tonight I am privileged to be welcoming back Mike West, and this time he's bringing a band with him. So,
Yeah.
Mike, say hello to everyone.
Hello, thanks so much for having me tonight, guys. It's a pleasure to chat to you.
So, first thing is, you played before, but it's a bit different this time. You're actually bringing a band with you this time.
Yeah, so this is the evolution of what I've wanted to do. I've always wanted to have a band, but it's not as easy as just saying I want that. You need to put those folks in place and starting acoustically and starting on your own. It's been a really interesting thing to try and find the right people for those things. And I've met Rob a few years ago, just before or just after COVID kind of hit, and when we started playing together doing duo shows, and he's a fiddle player. He's absolutely incredible. And then the next kind of step was, drums, and I wanted something heavier because I love that heavy sound that we do, but you need drums for it. And it's been a really hard kind of thing to find a drummer that fits and gets what we're trying to do. And we found late last year, Brian Dixon, who is the former drummer of Cathedral, the incredible doom metal band. He's on the Wirral, which is absolutely insane. And we met up for a bit of a coffee date and, sussed each other out, talked about the music we loved. We're both massive Kiss fans. We're both massive Black Sabbath fans. And it was that kind of thing where we had that point of reference, and he'd not played country or the style of acoustic music that I do, but the sessions have been absolutely incredible. It's been so much fun. And yeah, we're just going to keep building from there. So yeah, it's our first ever trio show at Pentrefest this year. I'm really, really looking forward to it.
Oh, wow, so I feel as though we've just had an exclusive there.
Yeah.
A former member of Cathedral.
Yeah.
Wow. Honest to God, that's amazing. That just blew my mind a little bit there. So a bit tongue-tied now. Obviously, today we're actually doing this interview on the day when the news dropped about the Black Sabbath show and the Aussie show and things like that. So then you throw that, we're going to have an ex-Cathedral member, just blows that out the water. Come on.
Yeah.
How good's that?
Yeah. Well, not to I absolutely adore Black Sabbath. This gig is more likely to happen. So this is the real exclusive. And I adore Ozzy Osbourne, and I really want it to happen. But I had my tickets for Ozzy from 2018, and I held on to them until he cancelled. And it breaks my heart to think that it won't go ahead, and I really hope it does. But the Pentrefest show is definitely 100% happening.
100% happening. We don't cancel gigs anyway. But obviously COVID things happened, so that did. But this is definitely happening. So good point there. But so you got together with a couple others. So tell us just a little bit more about the direction of your band then.
Yeah, so it's always kind of been, I call it bastard country because, my tagline has always been not country enough, not folk enough, not blues enough, too heavy. And that was because that's what people always used to tell me when, like me and Frank were talking about before, we used to do open mic nights. And, old days would come up to me after I'd done my thing, and they'd be like, that was nice, but it's a bit too heavy. And like I get why they thought it was like a criticism, but it's what I love. It's what I've adored. I've grown up in metal and I was in metal bands, and it's the thing I absolutely adored growing up. And then I fell in love with country music and Johnny Cash and blues and Howlin' Wolf, and it just was that natural progression. So it's just kind of what's come out organically. And then I knew when I wanted to put a band together, I didn't want to go back into a thrash band. I didn't want to go into like a fully country band. So that's why Rob, the fiddle player, is, he is a genius in every kind of sense of the word. In type of like his folk arrangements, he can go into country. But then we've got Brian, who's, a doom metal drummer. And, this stuff, I'm sending him Hank Williams stuff to try and get his kind of vibe to what we do. So it's a completely interesting kind of take on the genre that I'm really excited about, that really emphasizes what we're trying to do as Bastard Country and what my kind of vision has always been for this.
Oh, that's interesting. So, um, obviously we used to. Well, I think I introduced you as heavy acoustic once,
Yeah.
and that's like the vibe I always got from you anyway. So is this just like bringing that to like a new level?
Yeah, so what I've always wanted to do, I never wanted it to be like acoustic rock music. I wanted it to be something that had space and had kind of a heaviness to it that didn't necessarily have to be detuned or kind of thrash. And I think we have really kind of hit on that. We do have kind of the slower songs, but they're still about mass murder, so they do tick that box. But it's one of those things where it is heavy acoustic music in a kind of way that I feel pays real tribute to country and blues in a way that sometimes acoustic music necessarily doesn't, because you can sometimes tell when someone strips a metal song just into an acoustic and it works fine, it works well, but it doesn't have that kind of love of the genre that I feel when you try and pay tribute to country music and to blues music, because blues and country can go really heavy and really dark and really kind of metal in terms, and that's I first learned about blues music from Metal Hammer when they did kind of a cover story on Robert Johnson and selling his soul to the devil, and I read that when I was like 13 and it blew my mind. And Me and the Devil Blues is still one of the heaviest songs ever written, and it's just Robert Johnson with an acoustic guitar.
So what were the thrash bands you were in?
So I was in Names of the Fallen, which, funnily enough, when I saw the lineup for Pentrefest, Stuntface are playing. And
Mhm.
one of the last shows we ever did in 2010 was at the Tivoli in Buckley with Stuntface headlining. So it's nice to kind of go full circle with it all. So from like the thrash band of Names of the Fallen and that gig as well, I was kind of gutted. I played guitar and sang, but I'd ripped my hand open. So I was in a cast and I couldn't move my hand. So we had another guitarist playing. But yeah, that was the last and that was I think one of the last gigs we kind of did as a band as well before it fell apart. So it's nice to kind of be back on the same bill as Stumpface after 15 years.
So you've gone from the band situation to then doing your own stuff on your own,
Yeah.
um, to now doing another band thing. So it's like, but obviously very different, but it's
Yeah.
quite an evolution.
It really is, and it's been kind of weirder because when you're in a band, when you first start, and everyone kind of comes up into the same thing, and you don't really know who you are, and you're trying to find your sound and you're trying to find your influences and write songs as a band together. I've had 9 years of writing songs on my own, and this isn't kind of Names of the Fallen. This isn't the Missing Links. This is Mike West and the Missing Links. So it's weird to kind of take ownership of this, but I've been doing it for 9 years. I've toured Europe and the UK and built a bit of a name for myself, which I'm really proud of. And this is the kind of the evolution of that. And Rob and Brian are collaborating in such an amazing way to show kind of I had these songs that didn't have fiddle on it. I'm not a fiddle player. They didn't have drums on it. I'm not a drummer. And to see what they then kind of brought to the table, and then we kind of shape it together, and then we'll be writing new music in the future together as like a three-piece, and hopefully bringing in bass and bringing in a pedal steel or whatever we can to keep expanding that sound.
So, obviously we talked about yourself a little bit and your drummer. So your fiddle player, Rob, you say, tell us a little bit more about him and what's his background.
So Rob is kind of an enigma in a way. I found him, well, we found each other on kind of like on the internet on a band website because I was looking for fiddle players. And he had a bit of a workaround where he put his email address in instead of like, so you didn't have to kind of pay the tiers or whatever to get through the website to contact people. So I got in touch with him, and I can only communicate with him through email, or he has like a Nokia 3210. And they're the only real ways I can kind of. So I'll send him an email or I'll send him a text, and then hope in like 5 or 6 days he'll get back to me. And he's just he just loves music, man. He's just purely in it for the love of it. And it's really beautiful and humbling thing to kind of be around and have someone of that kind of talent, because he plays fiddle, so it's violin, he plays viola, he plays mandolin, he plays the hurdy-gurdy. He's got he just whatever you want him to do, he can do it. And even to the point where, we did a gig last year and we'd not played together. We did a gig in May of last year and we'd not played together since kind of 2023. And I sent him the set list and was like, by the way, here's a new song. And I just sent him a video of me playing it live just on my own. I was like, we're going to be doing that at the show as well. So, and with no rehearsal, we got to the gig, we got to that song, and then he just improvised perfectly a fiddle piece to go perfectly along with it, stopped at the right time, started, picked up again, faded out amazingly. And he's just so musically incredible. It's insane to be with him and an ex-Cathedral drummer and like be kind of holding the reins, because these two are just geniuses in such their own right that it's insane to be around. But they make me sound amazing, so I can't complain.
Well, listen, we remember your solo stuff, so we know you can make yourself sound amazing. So can you tell us a little bit? What do you remember about Pentrefest from playing it, and how you felt getting up there on stage? And Frank, obviously, you chirp in on this one as well.
So my best memory of Pentrefest was just as I was playing on the acoustic stage outside. A pigeon had wandered into the kind of the bar, into the actual metal stage area, and Steve from Bad Earth, just bald, massive vest, has this little pigeon in his hands, and he releases it like it's a fucking Live Aid concert as I'm playing. And I still, to this day, it's like my favorite thing to have ever happened, and it just was so beautifully weird, and I feel it sums up Pentrefest in like a really nice way.
So,
but
Frank also does a bit of multi-instrumental stuff as well, didn't you?
Well, I mean, it's I never had any aspirations, Mike, to do anything, if I was honest, and I was kind of told you're playing. That was 2 years ago, so this is the 2-year anniversary of my first gig.
Amazing.
I'm just mentally scarred from childhood live performances for the Eisteddfods here in Wales, and I just thought never, it's not so. I thought it's not so bad if you're with a choir, you can hide, but when you're on your own, and obviously you talked about your previous with being solo and you're transferring over to being with a band, and I could never imagine that, because what I've found is I'm quite set in my ways when I'm on my own. Because I've got complete control over what I want to do. Well, kind of, whether I'm capable of doing it. How's that transition been, Mike? And like in your head,
Yeah, it's been really interesting, and like just to kind of touch on that, when I was in high school, I had insane levels of stage fright. I remember like I put a band together in high school, and I was the singer. I wasn't playing guitar at that point or anything. And it was like in a movie when you go to sing and nothing comes out. And I was just paralyzed there for like 5 minutes before the teacher mercifully called it. But in that time, everyone's staring at me and just going red. And that kind of scarred me, man. I didn't like when I was in primary school, I wouldn't do nativities, I wouldn't do anything. I would get up in front of anyone at all. And it wasn't until I found metal and like was in like Names of the Fallen and stuff that I kind of found my confidence. And then once that band fell away, I was just missing it so much, getting to like play music and play in front of people. And then, putting a band together is just really, really difficult when you're trying to find the time. So the solo stuff after I found country, it was just a way for me to get out and get playing. And then that was just kind of building my confidence. And again, I've been doing this for 9 years now. So the confidence is there now. I'm quite lucky that I get excited, I get nervous, but I don't get kind of stage right now. I'm really confident in what I do because I just love to do it so much. But it has been a mentality shift in the kind of the 20 years I've been playing music to kind of realize that adore it so much. So in whatever kind of way I can do it, I just need to. It's just there. I just love it so much. And it's that mentality that kind of keeps me going to play. And then, promoters have said, if you had a band, we'd book you. If you had a band, we'd put you on festivals. If you did like, so it's this is like, I think the one step that I need to take to kind of get to that spot. And we've already got a few festivals to announce in the summer and stuff as well. So it's kind of showing that it's there because it just drums, man. People love to headbang, people love to have that groove. So it's been one of those things I feel has been a necessity for a long time coming, but the right ingredients weren't there yet.
Yeah, what I love about with the the audiences and the communities that we play to as metal enthusiasts, and the crowds will. So my first time playing, it was freezing outside, and obviously, okay, a little bit of stage fright because it's the first time you're doing this. Um, but the crowd's very forgiving
Mm.
and very much kind of like very laid back. Everyone's doing their own thing. Obviously they're listening to you and everything. But yeah, I find the pressure kind of came off because of the nature of what the crowds we play to. And anything can, even snapping a string. I mean, that must have happened to you.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's happened a bunch, and I did a gig with Cam Cole, I think, in
Oh,
2022, and
right.
there were
Yeah.
there were five guitars on stage, and all five guitars snapped strings within like succession of each other. Because I don't gig without at least two guitars because it happens, and both snapped, and then I had to borrow one of Cam's that snapped, and then he snapped his other two, and yeah, it's a terrifying, really annoying thing when it does happen.
He's a very talented individual. I know
It
exactly who you're
is.
talking about. I'm not sure if Fozzy at one point approached him to come and do something with Fozzy, but yeah, that's the kind of it's the kind of vibe I think that we look for in the
Mm.
acoustic artists as well. But it's still for me, it's still a learning process. But given what's happening with you at the minute, when you've formed a band, this is a learning process for you. I take it as well.
Yeah, it has. It's been kind of really interesting, but I think the nice thing has been for doing this for so long, I've got the confidence to say, no, we're doing it this way, and know when to kind of hold the reins and go forward, when to hold back and say, well, what have you got? And especially listening to Brian and Rob, they always have a better idea than I do. So it's always kind of, well, what can we bring to the table together and kind of push it forward, but knowing that at the end of the day, it's still kind of my name going out there and knowing what would be best for the sound and the image and those things, because that's another thing you have to kind of think about in this digital world is how you're marketing yourself, how you're branding yourself, how you kind of represent yourself to the audience. And that's been one of the beautiful things about getting to play Pentrefest and working with metal crowds is I think metal crowds are the most like kind of open-minded and they want you to succeed. They want you to like they want to have a good time listening to music. They want to feel something and they're so down for kind of whatever is getting brought to the table as long as they feel it's done in an authentic, sincere way. And that's what I really like about metal crowds and what I've always kind of took away from playing Pentrefest on the acoustic stages.
What are you currently listening to then in terms of your own musical tastes?
It's a good question. Hank Williams, just because that was kind of what we were listening to at practice last night and trying to like work on some of the like more country style songs we were doing. So it's been Hank Williams and Dio. And then Sleep Token have been their headline and downloading. I hadn't listened to them. So I was like, oh, I'll give them a chance. And I've been listening to them and I'm still kind of on the fence about them, but something's grabbing me to keep listening to them. And then I've been really just into Behemoth at the moment and Satyricon and Deicide. So I've been just going on kind of a black and death metal binge because as the more acoustic and country stuff I play, I don't want to kind of fall into the pitfalls of becoming too kind of in that genre without bringing what I want to the table. And I can get sick to death of listening to country music after a while, to be honest, because it's one of those things that I'm so rooted in at the moment that it's just a constant. So listening to Behemoth and those guys is a bit of a palate cleanser for me. And then once I kind of get tired of doing those, I'll start listening to the Wu-Tang Clan and Public Enemy and looking at them for lyrical influences because Mothman, one of my songs, has a tribute to kind of Public Enemy in it because I love what Chuck D kind of raps about and stuff. So I try and draw from those guys, but I'm on a behemoth kick at the moment is my main thing I'm listening to.
Well, as you brought up Mothman, then let's talk about what you've got. What products have you got out at the moment, and where can people see and hear them?
Yes, so you can go over to my website at mike333west.com. I have my Bandcamp up through that in the store. We have kind of Mothman t-shirts and Mothman hats and Mike West hats and all that merch and stuff. I have a few comics and things, but Mothman was the last song I released in 2022. And we've just hit over 100,000 streams on Spotify, which is nice. So I can finally afford a Freddo, which is awesome. But that's the kind of, it's been 3 years since I released music. So the goal is this year with Brian and Rob to get into the studio and start recording the new album and kind of go from there. We've got a lot of new songs in the set. Obviously, if you've never seen me before, they're all new. And if you don't remember me from Pentrefest before COVID, they're definitely new. So we've got a nice little set list of a mix of stuff that I'm really excited to play. That's kind of some of the older stuff I've written alongside some of the brand new songs I've written, which I'm excited about. And Brian and Rob have just brought a whole new breath of life into them.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to add to this?
No, I'm just really excited to play, man. I'm just, Fozzie's such a nice guy, and I've worked with him on a few gigs and stuff. And Pentrefest is kind of such a great independent metal festival that, because I don't know about you, but like I used to go to Download a lot, and I felt the metal scene was getting a bit stale. But that was because I was only kind of at the tip of the iceberg of it, and going to Bloodstock and then finding Pentrefest and kind of getting to the underground metals let me just like dig a bit deeper, and it's really restored my faith in the scene and faith in the artists that are coming up and just bringing something heavy and something new to the world that I really love. So I'm excited to check out the bands there as well and stick around for the day and heckle Bad Earth when I can and all that good stuff.
Well, I think touching on that, if you were only going to Download, then you would think everything got stale. I mean, don't get me wrong, I can watch Maiden and Megadeth every day of the week, mate. But, if you were just that's why Bloodstock is so important.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm at a stage now where a lot of the headliners on Bloodstock's main stage, I'm too old for, they've passed me by. But it's okay because the good stuff's on the Sophie stage. So there's still plenty about, and how Bloodstock have actually got everything out there and the way they've grew and evolved and stuff like that. It's absolute for me. They've basically set the blueprint on how to grow and how to evolve without selling out, sort of thing.
No, totally.
So, I mean, obviously, we're trying to do something similar. You'll see Pentrefest is a very different festival to what it was. Obviously, when you walk in and you see the outdoor stage that you'll be playing on, let's hope it's not as cold as it was last year. But yeah, I mean, you will see. Obviously, the room's still the same, and we've still got, Pat and John are still there. So we've still got that going on. But hopefully, it's going to be packed out. We're going to have millions of people there, and it's going to be, one of the best shows you'll ever play.
I'm excited, man. I really can't wait for it. It's going to be something memorable, to say the least, especially as it's the first band show and back at Pentrefest after however many years. I'm really fucking looking forward to it.
So, and I'm still blown away. We're going to have a former Cathedral member playing. So yeah, I mean, that's got me excited anyway. So, so basically, I'm going to wrap it up, Mike. Thank you very much for coming. Really looking forward to seeing you, and I can't wait to see how you've evolved and how the band come together. So it's going to be great. The festival's going to be amazing. Thank you very much for your time, and we will see you on Saturday.
See you on the Saturday.
Fantastic. Thank you.
I'm Mike West. I'm debuting my band, The Missing Links, at Pentrefest. We cannot wait. Check out my video for the song Mothman. See you there.
'87 when that old bridge collapsed. To this day, survivors say in the aftermath they saw Mothman. They saw Mothman. Why he stood before me, I'm trying to learn the truth. What tragedy's about to fall on me or you? I saw Mothman. I saw Mothman. There's always something chasing me. Don't know if it's real or my anxiety. I can't control beyond my grasp. Like the saying goes, man, plans God laughs. Like the saying goes, man, plans God laughs. Like the saying goes, man, plans God laughs. Like the saying goes, man, plans God laughs.